Seaside Heights, Florida was a quiet coastal town known for its clean beaches, early sunsets, and friendly retirees. Life moved slowly, like the waves lapping at the shore. Most people lived there for peace, not for drama. That changed the day Diana Belmore, a wealthy 65-year-old widow, walked down the sandy aisle barefoot and married Tyler Knox, a 25-year-old lifeguard with a golden tan, sculpted body, and eyes like seawater. No one could believe it. Diana had been a familiar face in Seaside Heights for over 30 years. She owned the biggest beach house in town, a three-story white mansion with wraparound balconies. Her late husband, Frank Bellamore, had died of cancer 5 years earlier, leaving her a fortune and memories of a quiet, respectable life. Then came Tyler. He was the new guy at Seaside Beach Patrol, young, charming, and energetic, the kind of man you'd expect to see dating a college girl, not a woman old enough to be his grandmother. But Diana saw something in him. Or maybe she just missed being seen. People whispered. Some said she was lonely. Others said he was using her. Either way, the wedding happened, and the news made the local paper. Lifeguard marries local heiress in private beach ceremony. 3 months after the wedding, Tyler Knox vanished. No note, no phone call, no social media activity. One day he was sunbathing with Diana on her yacht, and the next day, gone. Diana told everyone he left for California. He said he needed to clear his head, she explained. He's finding himself. But something felt off. Tyler had left behind his surfboard, his motorcycle, and his lifeguard uniform. He never picked up his last paycheck. His phone was turned off, and there were no travel record, no plane, no train, no bus. Just silence. The police opened a missing person report, but they didn't try too hard. Adults disappear all the time, they said. Maybe he ran off. Maybe there was a fight. Maybe he found someone younger. But Detective Raymond Cole, a seasoned homicide investigator recently transferred from Miami, didn't buy it. At 57, Ray had seen all kinds of cases: jealous lovers, staged suicides, greedy family members. But this one was different. There were too many loose ends. And Diana Belmore? She was acting too calm. Ray took a quiet drive up to Diana's mansion and parked outside the front gate. The wind carried the salty scent of the sea, but there was something else in the air. Secrets. He pulled out his notebook and scribbled one sentence. Married the beach boy, buried the truth. He was going to dig. And if there was a body buried somewhere beneath those white sands, he would find it. Because in Seaside Heights, appearances were everything. And sometimes they were the first thing to kill you. Detective Raymond Cole had visited many homes over his 30 years in law enforcement, but the Belmore mansion was something else. Perched high on Belmore Cliff, the house overlooked the Atlantic like a silent queen watching over her kingdom. Waves slammed against the rocks below, and the wind never stopped howling. Ray parked just outside the black iron gate. It creaked open with a buzz after he pressed the intercom button. "Come in, detective," came Diana Belmore's soft voice, as smooth and steady as her pearls. The driveway curved upward between palm trees, leading to the white three-story home with tall glass windows and large balconies. A fountain shaped like a mermaid stood in front, but the water had gone green. Moss had begun to take over the edges. It was a little sign, but Ray noticed it. When he rang the doorbell, Diana opened the door herself. She wore a cream silk robe, large sunglasses, and lipstick that matched her ruby earrings. Her silver hair was swept neatly back. "Detective Cole," she said politely. "Still no word from my husband?" "No, ma'am," Ray replied, stepping inside. "Mind if I ask you a few more questions?" "Of course. I was just having tea." The inside of the house smelled of lavender and old wood. Everything was clean, but too clean, like a stage set waiting for the curtain to rise. She led him into a sunroom with ocean views. Ray pulled out his notebook. "When did you last see Tyler?" Diana took a slow sip of tea. "It was a Sunday. We had just returned from a yacht ride. Tyler had been quiet all day. That night, he told me he was thinking of going to California. He wanted space." "He left on foot?" She nodded. "Left his things behind. I suppose he didn't want anything from this life." Ray looked around. "Where's his room?" Diana smiled. "We shared a room, detective. We were married, after all." Ray asked to see the bedroom. It was spotless. No men's clothes, no surfboard, no photos, except for one picture of Diana and Tyler on their wedding day, standing barefoot on the beach. Tyler wore a white shirt open to the chest. Diana wore a white lace dress and a string of pearls. "Who took this photo?" Ray asked. Diana's expression froze for half a second. "Oh, a friend of his, a lifeguard named Cody, but he moved shortly after the wedding." "Mind if I take it?" Ray asked. She hesitated. "It's all I have left." Ray nodded. "A copy will be fine." He moved to leave but paused. "One last thing. You ever had problems in your marriage?" Diana set her cup down. "Detective, I married a boy who could have been my grandson. Of course we had problems, but I gave him everything. Money, a name, a home. If he wanted to leave, he could have just walked away." Ray nodded slowly, then stepped outside. As he walked back to his car, he noticed something unusual, a fresh patch of soil near the base of the cliff garden. Surrounded by flowers, it looked like a newly planted section. But Ray knew better. He had seen that kind of soil before. Fresh, turned, covered too neatly. He knelt, touched it, then stood up. His mind was racing. Diana Belmore was calm. Too calm. And Tyler Knox didn't just walk away from all that. He might be closer than anyone thought. Detective Raymond Cole was up early the next morning, sipping black coffee from a paper cup as the sun rose over Seaside Heights. He sat in his car facing the beach, flipping through personnel records from Seaside Beach Patrol. It didn't take long to find the name he was looking for. Cody Vance, age 28, former lifeguard, left the job 4 weeks after Diana and Tyler's wedding. No forwarding address. Just gone. Ray didn't believe in coincidence. He headed straight to Seaside Gym, the kind of place where lifeguards worked out and bragged about biceps. The receptionist pointed him toward a tall, wiry man doing pull-ups in the corner. "Cody Vance?" The man dropped down, breathing hard. "Yeah? Who's asking?" "Detective Raymond Cole, Seaside PD. He showed his badge. "I'm looking into the disappearance of Tyler Knox. Heard you were close." Cody grabbed a towel and wiped his face. "Man, I haven't seen Tyler in months." "What's this about?" "He vanished after marrying Diana Belmore. Left everything behind. No one's heard from him since." Cody scoffed. "That doesn't surprise me." "Oh." Cody leaned on the wall. "Look, I don't want to speak ill of the dead or missing, but that whole thing was weird from the start. Diana was rich, lonely, and weirdly obsessed. She used to show up at the beach every day like a queen, always watching him, offering him drinks, gifts. She pursued him? Like a shark with lipstick," Cody muttered. "At first, Tyler joked about it. Then he started taking the money. Trips, a Rolex, and next thing I knew, they were married. After that, man, he changed. He wasn't happy." "What do you mean?" Ray asked. Cody lowered his voice. "He told me she was possessive, controlling. Said she'd go nuts if he talked to anyone. I told him to walk away before it got ugly." "And did he?" Cody looked around and whispered. "The night before he disappeared, we had drinks. He said he found something. Something big. He didn't say what, just that he needed to be smart about it. Then he said he was going to record something the next day. That's the last time I saw him." Ray's pen stopped mid-sentence. "Record something? You think he left behind video or audio?" "I don't know," Cody said. "He was scared, but he was planning something. He told me, if anything happens to me, look under the floorboards." I thought he meant it as a joke. Ray stood tall. "Where did he live?" "On the 3rd floor of Diana's mansion. There's a small den room he used before she made him move into her master suite." Ray's jaw clenched. That room hadn't even been mentioned during his tour of the house. He handed Cody his card. "If you remember anything else, call me." Back in his cruiser, Ray stared out at the waves. The puzzle was coming together. Tyler knew something, and he didn't run. He was silenced. The mansion on Belmore Cliff wasn't just a place of luxury. It was a tomb of secrets, and somewhere under its polished floors, something was waiting to be found. The next morning, Detective Ray Cole arrived at the Belmore mansion unannounced. The sun was still rising, casting golden light over the waves. Diana Belmore was in the garden trimming roses, wearing a sun hat and gloves. She looked like a painting. Too perfect. too prepared. "Detective Cole," she said with a polite smile, "what brings you so early?" "I'd like to take a second look around, Mrs. Belmore. Tyler's disappearance still doesn't sit right with me." Diana hesitated, her lips tightening ever so slightly. "I've told you everything I know, and now I'm asking you to help me double-check. Just a walkthrough," he added gently. She relented. "Fine, but make it quick." Ray walked through the house again, but this time, he didn't focus on the polished floors and ocean view windows. He watched for shadows, uneven planks, air vents, details that would mean nothing to a casual guest but everything to a trained eye. He made his way to the third floor. Diana stayed downstairs. The den was small, tucked behind the attic stairwell. It had a leather chair, an old writing desk, and a dusty bookshelf. It didn't look lived in, but something felt wrong. Too quiet. Ray tapped the floor with his knuckles. Hollow. He crouched near the corner and examined the floorboards by the desk. One of them was slightly warped. Hard to see, but not impossible to spot. He grabbed a screwdriver from his bag and gently pried the board loose. There, hidden beneath, was a small black digital voice recorder, wrapped in cloth. Ray's heart pounded. He tucked it into his coat pocket and replaced the board. Before leaving, he took one last look around the room. A faint scent of cologne lingered in the air. Not floral like the rest of the house. It smelled like Tyler. Downstairs, Diana was waiting by the door, her hands still gloved. "Find anything?" she asked sweetly. "Just a little dust," Ray said. He nodded, tipped his hat, and left. Back at the station, Ray placed the recorder on his desk and took a breath. He hit play. At first, there was just room noise, creaking floors, distant waves. Then a voice. Tyler's voice. "It's Tuesday night. I'm recording this in case anything happens. Diana, she's not who she says she is. I found a locked drawer in her closet. Documents, IDs with different names. There's a certificate. She's been married before. Multiple times. Every husband died within months. No autopsies, just quiet funerals. I think I'm next." Ray leaned in closer. "I overheard her on the phone. She said, 'He's getting suspicious. I'll take care of it before the week ends.' I don't know what that means. If anything happens to me, someone needs to hear this." The message ended. Ray sat back, stunned. His instincts had been right. Tyler Knox hadn't disappeared. He'd been silenced, just like Diana's previous husbands. Now he had proof, but it wasn't over. Not yet, because Tyler's body was still missing, and Ray was convinced it wasn't far. Detective Raymond Cole stood at the edge of Diana Belmore's manicured garden, staring at the patch of turned soil he had seen days earlier. It was just too perfect, too fresh. The roses were bright red, blooming tall, almost unnaturally fast for that time of year. No one tended the yard that carefully unless they had something to hide underneath. Ray returned that evening with a warrant in a small team from Seaside Heights PD. He didn't want to alert Diana. Not yet. He needed time and truth. The sun was beginning to set as the officers carefully marked the garden with flags. Ray knelt again beside the flower bed. The soil gave way too easily. One officer started digging while another took photos. At just under 3 feet, the shovel struck something. Software wrapped, human-shaped. They uncovered a large black tarp tied with twine. The officers backed away and Ray stepped forward with gloves. He pulled back the edge of the tarp, revealing a man's body, thin, pale, and clearly dead for some time. The face was partially decomposed, but the golden chain and tattoo on the left bicep were unmistakable. Tyler Knox, the missing lifeguard, the beach boy who married the town's richest woman. Ray didn't speak. He just stood there for a moment, silent as the wind swept across the cliff. The ocean below thundered against the rocks. This wasn't just a missing person anymore. It was murder. "Get the coroner," he finally said, "and bring Diana Belmore in for questioning." 2 hours later, Diana sat across from Ray in the cold interview room at the station. No pearls this time, no makeup, just a beige sweater and blank stare. "Do you know why you're here, Mrs. Belmore?" Her voice was soft. "I assume you found something." "We found Tyler Knox's body in your garden, wrapped in tarp, buried under your roses." Her lips barely moved. That's ridiculous. Ray pulled out the voice recorder and pressed play. Tyler's voice filled the room. The part where he said, "I think I'm next." Diana blinked slowly. "Would you like to explain," Ray said, leaning forward, "why every man you've married in the last 10 years has ended up dead or missing?" Her voice cracked slightly now. "You think I killed them? I think you lure young men in with money. I think you enjoy control. And when they get close to the truth, you silence them. Just like Tyler." A long pause. Then she laughed. Quietly at first, then louder. "You think this is about love?" she said coldly. "They never loved me. They loved the house, the bank accounts, the name. Tyler was no different. He thought he could blackmail me. So yes, I buried him. But not before he begged." Ray's blood ran cold. She smiled now. "He said he was going to expose me, post my documents online. But he forgot, this is my town, and he underestimated what a woman alone for too long can do." Ray stood up slowly and signaled to the officers outside. "She confessed. Take her." As Diana Bellamore was led away in handcuffs, the coastal wind howled outside like it had been waiting for justice. Tyler's body was found. The truth was no longer buried, but Ray Cole knew there were probably more secrets beneath Belmore Cliff. Diana Belmore's chilling confession sent shockwaves through the quiet seaside town. Newspapers printed her mugshot with headlines like "Black Widow of Belmore" and "Beauty, Wealth, and Murder." The community, once dazzled by her elegance and charity, now saw a darker side. But Detective Ray Cole wasn't finished. The Tyler Knox case had ended with a body in the garden, but Diana's voice recorder hinted at something far bigger. She had been married before, several times, no autopsies, quiet funerals, no suspicions, until now. Ray requested a full record search. He and his team began digging through marriage licenses, death certificates, property sales, and archived funeral announcements. One by one, the names surfaced. Gregory Hall, married 2008, died in a boating accident 4 months later. Thomas Redding, married 2011, found at the base of Belmore Cliff, ruled accidental fall. Leo Marcus, married 2015, heart attack, cremated before family could request an autopsy. Evan Delaney, married 2018, died from carbon monoxide poisoning in the mansion's garage. Each time Diana inherited their estates. Each time she held a quiet memorial service with little press, little questioning. No criminal investigation. Why? Because she was Diana Belmore. Wealthy, respected, untouchable. Until now. Ray drove to the town archives where old property blueprints and permit requests were stored. He focused on one thing, the Belmore Mansion. In the original blueprints, he noticed something strange. An old storm shelter on the cliffside, built decades ago but never listed in Diana's renovation permits. Ray made his way there with Officer Sims. The entrance was covered in vines near the southern edge of the cliff, disguised by hedges. With flashlights and crowbars, they pried it open. The door groaned as it gave way to a narrow staircase leading down into cold darkness. Inside, the air was thick with damp stone and dust. Ray's light swept over the room, an old bunker with rusted tools, rotting wood, and in the far corner, a stack of belongings. Shoes, wallets, men's watches, each tagged with initials. One by one, Ray collected them. GHTRLMED Gregory, Thomas, Leo, Evan, every one of her former husbands. This wasn't just a room for storage, it was a trophy room. The men may not have all died there, but part of them was left behind. Their lives, their memories, and now the truth. Ray took photos and logged the evidence. Each item was cataloged. It would all go to court. Back at the station, Ray stared at the evidence board. A lifetime of seduction, manipulation, and murder, all hidden behind a polite smile and a luxurious mansion. But now the world would see Diana Belmore for who she truly was. And justice, for all of them, was no longer buried. The courtroom was packed. Locals from Seaside Heights lined every bench, whispering as the woman they once admired entered in chains. Diana Belmore, elegant even in a beige prison uniform, showed no fear. Her eyes scanned the room like it was another party she was hosting. Detective Ray Cole sat near the front, arms crossed, a folder of evidence in his lap. The prosecutor presented it all. Tyler's voice recording, the buried body, the hidden storm shelter filled with her dead husband's belongings, the marriage and death certificates showing a pattern of short-lived unions followed by quiet deaths, her confession, recorded on tape in Ray's interview room. Diana's defense attorney tried to paint her as misunderstood, a lonely woman manipulated by greedy younger men. But the facts were stronger than sentiment. In the final week, Ray was called to the stand. Detective Cole, in your expert opinion, was Tyler Knox's death accidental? No, he said plainly. It was intentional. Diana Bellamore lured him with money, isolated him, and buried him when he found out the truth. And the others? The prosecutor asked. Ray nodded. She repeated the same pattern: marriage, control, elimination. The courtroom was silent. Even the jury looked rattled. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. When they returned, the foreman stood. On the charge of first-degree murder, in the case of Tyler Knox, we find the defendant guilty. Gasps swept the room. On the charges related to the suspicious deaths of Gregory Hall, Thomas Redding, Leo Marcus, and Evan Delaney, we find the defendant guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and fraud. Diana showed no emotion, no tears, just a small smirk. The judge wasted no time. For your crimes, this court sentences you to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Parole, she blinked slowly and whispered, I still had one more rose to plant. Ray felt a chill creep down his spine. Diana Bellamore's mansion was seized and turned into a public historical site. Part cautionary tale, part crime museum. Her garden, once the pride of the coast, was fenced off with a small plaque in memory of Tyler Knox. The storm shelter remained locked. Detective Ray Cole was promoted to lead investigator at the state level. He gave talks about the case at universities, warning young officers, evil doesn't always wear rags. Sometimes it wears pearls and bakes muffins. As for Diana, she became a legend in prison. The other inmates called her Queen Rose. She spent her days in silence, reading romance novels and watering a single potted plant in her cell, a red rose. Ray visited her once, years later. He asked her why she did it. She looked him in the eye and said, because I could. And no one ever tells rich women no. Not until you did. Ray left without another word. Justice came late, but it came. Tyler Knox and the others were finally seen. Their stories finally told. And for the first time in years, Seaside Heights could breathe again, free from the shadow of a rose garden built on bones.